Hey everyone, this is Spencer. Just wanted to apologize for some audio issues we were having this week. It's still very listenable. You just might notice some popping, not quite up to our usual standards. We hope it doesn't detract from the episode where we discuss the cinematic masterpiece that is Gangster Squad. So please sit back and enjoy.
Hello. Can't speak today.
What character is that?
It's a guy who can't say hi.
Okay, that's a cool character. I like him.
Thanks, I'm workshopping him for UCB. Yeah. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Style and Direction, the Sadcast, as I affectionately call it.
It's funny because we.
What's funny?
You're right. Speaking of movie episode, but when we were naming this podcast, we specifically thought of something that would be
cool to be abbreviated later.
And so we were like, let's go with sad, but I don't think we've ever talked about that other than maybe like the email.
Probably. And I think also I think we also looked it up. This might have been on Instagram Live or something, but I think I looked it up and it was a depression podcast about like males and depression or something, and it's actually kind of serious. Never listened to it. Big proponent of mental health, obviously.
It's like when Tobias goes to the Blue Man Group, but it's a group for depressed men.
Yeah.
I feel like a fucking idiot.
When you said that, I thought of... I know you said Tobias, but in my head, I thought of Toby from The Office for No Shave November saying, "Smile if you like men's prostates."
Now we're just naming our favorite bits from sitcoms.
Yeah. Little bits, a little Rick and Morty for you. But this is a menswear podcast without the stuffiness. I don't know if I said the catchphrase the last time, but I'm saying it now.
Well, if you
let me just put my keyboard away real quick, because I don't know if it's ever clear that I wrote the theme music. I don't know if anyone knows that, because early plug, I listen to Handcut Radio by Alex Fetkovich, and he always credits the theme song, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should
credit myself.
I should credit myself.
I did a great job. Pat on the back.
Yeah, P on the B. Yeah. Anyway, so today, it's another movie episode. We're discussing more movie style, movie menswear. And this film, there's a blog post about it, so you guys can go pull it up on streetexpress.wordpress.com if you want to follow along, or if you want to supplement our words with images. You guys can go check that out. But as I wrote in the introduction, it is probably 50% of my introduction to menswear is because of this movie. The other half is the Gatsby movie, which is another great discussion, which you guys can go see. If you're listening to this, you can go on the episode list.
Just go scroll down in the podcast
until you see Great Gatsby,
and then click play and listen to it.
There you go.
We'll wait.
Yeah. Are you guys finished? Okay, we're back.
Okay.
We're so funny. We're so funny. But yeah, this movie is Gangster Squad, which also came out in 2013, I believe. Right? That's what I wrote.
Yes, that's what you wrote.
Yeah. So both. So Gatsby came out in May, and I believe the Gangster Squad GS came out in I think like September or it's a Christmas movie. But maybe
it's technically a Christmas movie. It's like Die Hard or Iron Man 3.
Yeah, it counts. It counts.
Yeah.
Tell your friends and family. But so if Gatsby kind of, introduced me to the whole dandy, elegant suiting, it was the Gangster Squad film that, showed me the more everyday looks of vintage. And of course, the Gatsby's 20s, so obviously there is a historical precedent for it being definitely more dandy than the 40s and 50s, where there's more casual stuff. Suits were looser.
The women were looser.
Nice.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Men Going Their Own Way podcast.
Yep.
No, we're not. I promise you.
Yeah, we're actually trad caps. Also not that either.
We're cucks. Yeah, the opposite. Yeah. But we could not do this episode discussion alone because we decided, it's such a fun film, and we'll get into it. But we have to bring in one of my best friends, my oldest friend, Mr. MJ Kintanar. Give him a round of applause.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for the introduction.
So, fun fact: he's also our editor. So you've heard him, but behind
he's
the scenes.
he's actually been on before, but he's never been on mic because I don't allow him to be on mic. He just listens along.
Yep.
there was no mic to even speak into at that point.
Yeah, see, there you go. But MJ's been one of my closest friends. He has, he's been developed his own personal style lately, thanks to male fashion advice and being friends with me. And he loves watching bad movies. We both bond on being able to enjoy almost anything we watch. Isn't that right?
Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Ethan and I even Spencer, the three of us pretty much enjoy things like in our friend group, no matter if it's like supposed to be good or bad. So we kind of have that together.
I mean, I'd say that out of the three of us, I'm the one that least enjoys things, I guess. there's still some things that I won't watch, but I'm always down for like a fun bad movie, which for the most part this was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been wanting to talk about this movie for a long time. I've wanted to analyze the outfits because of how influential it was to me. And
unlike the Gatsby episode, I never saw this until maybe like a year or two ago. So
yeah,
this has always just been like a kind of dumb movie for me.
And a couple of weeks ago, MJ and Spencer were over, and we're like, you know what we're gonna do right now before we do this escape room? We're going to watch Gangster Squad.
And so we watched it, and that was the second time I'd watched it for this podcast. I was going to watch it a third time, but I forgot. So
the details might be a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just go over the plot before we get into the into the costuming. Now, it takes place in 1949. It's based on a book called Gangster Squad by Paul Lieberstein.
Isn't that the Toby?
I guess so. I think we should really someone like MJ look this up right now.
It's also based very, very loosely on real events that happened, but again, it's not really any of this. None of this happened.
Yeah. So basically, in this movie universe in 1949,
in the cinematic universe,
yeah, the MCU, Mickey Cohen controls the majority of LA's underworld. And there's a lot of crime, a lot of corruption, and a couple of cops don't want to deal with that anymore because they've come back from World War II. It's been 4 years since the end of World War II, and they're like, you know what, we fought the Nazis. We don't want dictators.
We don't want
in our
gangsters.
Streets. Yeah, we don't want gangsters.
Yeah, what
or
the heck?
As Nick Nolte's police chief Parker says, an Eastern crook.
Yep.
We don't want none of that, which I think is a little bit racist.
Well, okay, so there's like, we had a discussion about whether or not, so in the movie, Sean Penn plays Mickey Cohen. Sean Penn, as I looked up, is not Jewish, and Mickey Cohen was, and they gave him a gigantic fake nose. And we're like, is this bad?
Yeah, like, and also like, even with the nose, he looks nothing like Mickey Cohen.
No, like, he doesn't. They just put like 5 pounds of prosthetics on his face.
Yeah, like Mickey Cohen was kind of like a big guy. You could compare him to like maybe like Al Capone, maybe a little bit shorter, obviously.
Yeah,
but like it just looks like Sean Penn
with a giant nose,
with a fake nose. Yeah, they give him really thin eyebrows for some reason. But anyway, Sergeant O'Mara, played by Josh Brolin,
Thanos himself.
A Thanos the Man Titan.
Is this episode gonna have Endgame spoilers?
Maybe we'll preface it in the beginning with that in there. But he's a good cop. He's kind of a loose cannon because in the beginning of the film he takes down one of Cohen's whorehouses after he sees a young woman get kidnapped, or at least misled. Maybe not necessarily kidnapped. It's kind of a fun scene because we open up. Well, the first thing we see in the movie, I don't want us to forget this. Oh yes, yeah. Go ahead.
The first thing we see in the movie, we see the Hollywoodland sign, and it's how it looked in 1949. Then it pans down,
and it's Mickey Cohen and some other gangsters, and he's like, I wish you Chicago gangsters wouldn't show up here. And then they're like, you're a coward, Mickey. And he's like,
I thought I tried negotiating because I thought you were a man, but now it looks like you're nothing like that.
And then he's like, look at these coyotes. They know I'm up here and they're going to get some food. And then he rips him in half with 2 cars.
Yeah, because the Chicago gangster is chained, in his torso, and then there's 2 cars going opposite directions.
It's like the Levi's logo. Like,
and wait, hold on. Don't forget that he does an impression of Bela Lugosi.
Oh my God.
Or Boris Karloff.
I think that's his first line. He's like, oh, the children of the night, what music they make.
And so when they had that, when I was watching it, I thought that was going to be his accent the whole time. And then it cuts him going like, but when I had you up here, you were begging, but now you're not begging anymore. And
It's
I'm like,
like-
oh, now he's just a gangster now.
It's like Princess Leia's English accent. She only has it for one scene.
Technically, it's a Coruscanti accent because that's what
Okay.
people from the Galactic Center would have to speak in. Just so you know, a little Star Wars lore for you.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, that kind of sets the tone for the movie. It's rated R, and it reminds you it's rated R.
Yeah, I
'cause they say
forgot
fuck a
it was
lot
rated
and
R.
everything.
Like when I watched it recently, because
It didn't have to be.
It didn't have to be, but yeah, I saw that, and I figured they were going to cut away and maybe just show some blood splatter. But no, you see it.
You see like a little bit of entrails before that actually cuts away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Josh Brolin saves a girl from being raped or drugged or whatever because he's
That-
going to be turned into a whore.
that
Hopped up
all
on
of the
Mexican
above.
dope. As
That scene
Mickey Cohen
is also
says it.
fun because that one we cut straight from the guy getting ripped in half to Union Station, right?
Yeah.
Union
Yeah,
Station. And there's
And-
this pretty girl that has a map right up to her face.
And then this sleazy guy comes up who was also an Agent Carter as a Leviathan agent, wearing I think almost the same thing as wearing like a pinstripe suit. He's probably the best dressed person, but we'll
I mean,
get
his
back.
suit looks like it's vintage.
Yeah, and he goes like, did anyone ever tell you look like Lauren Bacall?
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, thanks." And he's like, "Hey, we're doing auditions right now. You want to be an actress? Follow me." And so she's like, "Okay." And so she follows him into a sleazy hotel.
And then as soon as she walks into the
They put her in like she walks in the room and it's just a bunch of other guys and it's like, look like meat's back on the menu or whatever.
Yeah, they're like playing cards like
Yeah. And that Josh Brolin sees this and he's going to stop it, but his partner is like, what are you, crazy? That's one of Mickey Cohen's places. Nobody goes in there. And Josh Brolin he says my favorite this guy that he says this to is never seen again, but he just says, go get an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
And then the guy, and then presumably he does, and he just learns that he loves ice cream so much that he quits his job.
Yeah, so Josh goes in. Basically, he gets in the elevator. No, but before that, he's
pretending that he's going in there to solicit a prostitute.
Yeah.
And he gets in the elevator. They see his handcuffs or his badge or something and realize he's a cop. And so there's like a fight sequence in the elevator. Also,
it's not bad, actually.
It's not a bad fight sequence, but all the fight sequences in this movie, this was like around the time that I think this is like, when did Hunger Games come out? Because this is in the cinematic period where every fight scene was like really blurry and shaky.
I mean, that's been a thing since like the Bourne thing, though.
Okay,
to be honest,
but
MJ would know. MJ loves watching those films.
What?
But the
what film?
the Bourne movies.
The Bourne movies and Taken and everything. Yeah.
Definitely the highlight of this sequence is when Josh Brolin sticks a guy's hand out of the elevator and it gets cut clean off like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it kind of sets the tone for, actually, it plays with the tone because you literally saw a guy get cut in half like 2 minutes ago.
And then you see Josh Brolin only cut a hand off, so you're like, oh, he's not as bad.
Yeah. So he goes and rescues the girl.
Yeah, who was hidden in a Murphy bed. Like, they just threw her up there.
Yeah. And then eventually, he gets in trouble because he goes in without a warrant, and Mickey's lawyers, they're everywhere. Presumably,
And
the chief is on the payroll.
And also, like, he almost beat these guys, like, to death. And, I understand in this context maybe it was okay, but I don't think cops should have the power to do that. That might be a controversial opinion, but I don't think they should be able to do that.
Well, they were gonna kill him.
That's true, but
I'm just saying.
okay.
This is also a movie. I mean, James Bond has a license to kill too. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so that's when we kind of meet Sergeant John O'Mara. He was in the army, but he obviously he doesn't like dealing with gangsters. He thinks that they shouldn't be in L.A.
But the problem is, gangsters own the cops, so he's like kind of alone.
Yeah, so Mickey's Cohen's men go free, and Mickey, in exchange, kills them because he doesn't tolerate failure, kind of like a Darth Vader type situation.
Yeah, so this is a fun thing that Mickey Cohen does like 3 or 4 times in this movie, where he'll like talk to some goons that like failed him, and they'll be like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen, it won't happen again." He's like, "Don't worry, everybody makes mistakes," and he acts like everything's okay, and then immediately kills them. So this time he burns.
He also has a really good line in this one. Like he's like, Cohen's like, Mickey, I swear to God. And he goes, You're talking to God. You might as well swear to me right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he goes like, oh, I'm sure it won't happen again, kid. Don't worry about it. I know it won't. And then he burns them.
He burns down the building. He's
for the insurance money.
Yeah, for the insurance money. They get locked in the elevator where their friend lost his hand.
Mr. Cohen, I swear to God.
You're talking to God, Mitch. So you might as well swear to me.
I swear to you, sir, if it hadn't been for that cop, this would have never happened.
You think I'm sorry about that cop? Hell no. He's a square Joe, the guy. Rescues a damsel in distress. He's a goddamn hero, is what he is. They should put a medal on him. We're gonna have to find a whole new place, start over again. It's like they say, all good things must one day be burnt to the ground for the insurance money.
Mr. Cohen, thank you so much. I swear it won't ever happen again.
I know it won't, kid.
Carl, what are you doing?
Yeah, presumably those bodies are also there.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's what happens. You also get to meet Ryan Gosling's character. So, I was gonna say Sebastian, but that's not his name. His name is Jerry Wooter.
No, it's Sebastian's dad.
Or grandpa.
I don't know.
But Sebastian's kind of like he's not necessarily a bad guy, but he's more like apathetic about it.
Yeah.
He's if we get into his style later, he's much more casual compared to the rest of the other guys.
When he's at work, when he's out on the town, though.
Yeah. You meet him.
So we meet him right in the office, and he's talking to O'Mara, and he's like, he's like, "You're gonna get yourself killed over here if you keep going after these gangsters. Why are you going after them?" And O'Mara's
pretty
like,
good impression.
I gotta do it.
Yeah.
This is the point where the movie. So it's like, we'll get into our problems later, but this is the point where the movie kind of takes a dip, because the first couple scenes, like the first 20 minutes, are action packed and a lot of fun. And from this point up until maybe the last half hour, things get pretty slow.
Yeah, because now, so it cuts to, Josh Brolin goes home. His wife is like, "Oh, I can't believe you keep going out there and taking people down,
and beating up gangsters." And
we want to. I'm pregnant. She's like very pregnant. She's like on the cusp of 9 months here, and she's all like, "Yeah, you're supposed to come back from the war and just live your life."
It's like, but she's like, "You can't stop fighting," and he's like, "I'm fighting for us. I want."
It's a little bit of like Iron Man. R.I.P. Iron Man. There's your Endgame spoiler.
There you go.
But she also has a weird way of working in that he's really good at fucking.
Oh yeah, it's a great scene because so he comes home, he's covered in like bruises and stitches.
He takes a bath and she's like nursing his wounds and everything.
And she's like, "You're all I could ask for. You're like so good at sex."
She goes like I don't need a new dress every day. I married an honest cop. You're a good man. You're a demon in the sack. And I'm like, what?
which is good because I'll only watch movies where it's confirmed that the main characters are good at fucking,
or at least better than us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So at this point, it cuts to the evening. You see Jerry on a night of the town. So this is the same day. He was wearing a sports shirt earlier, and we'll get into the style, later on. But he presumably changed into
suit.
Yeah, he changed.
He changed when he got home into a 3-piece double suit with a carnation on his lapel.
And a matching fedora. Like, the fedora is the same shade, like, as his suit.
Yeah.
But he goes into Slapsy Maxie's, which turns out is a real
It's
place.
a real place.
Yeah. And so earlier when you meet him, he's like, "Oh yeah, I lost Jack Whalen. He slipped his cuffs." And then he meets for dinner. It's Jack Whalen, who works for Dragna, I think.
Mhm.
Like, yeah. And they're like, "Oh hey, what's up, dude? Like, how have you been?" But presumably they have met before, earlier that day or something. Because he's like, "You're a peach," and
Oh yeah,
talk about
the kind of period slang. I don't.
oh yeah,
It's kind of silly in this movie, but this scene has some of the best examples of it.
yeah. He goes, he calls him a peach, and he goes, take a pew." And then
Yep.
he was
Okay,
like,
so
"Oh,
my
okay."
other favorite thing about this movie is how Ryan Gosling isn't playing along with the thing that everyone's doing, the fast talking
you get
detective
Mickey
thing.
Cohen, it's no problem. You got to keep the girls hopped up on Mexican dope.
But
and then-
Ryan Gosling is just going at he's just doing his normal
Yeah, okay,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, so he seems really out of place in a great way.
yeah. I mean, he's just playing himself.
Yeah.
But then that's when you realize that he's not good at fucking because he hasn't been sophisticated in weeks, and I don't believe it because it's fucking Ryan Gosling.
Yep.
And then Jack Whalen says, "Oh, look, Mickey Cohen's over there with his whole Knights of the Round Table but evil kind of thing." And that's when you learn, you see the chief of the police at Burbank, the high sheriff of Los Angeles County. You see the Judge Carter that tends to sign off on whatever he's doing.
You see the jazz hound, the commissioner who's turning into a real jazz hound.
Oh my god. You also see Revik, the killer, who is a Party City gangster, which we'll talk about later on. And then that's when he makes eye contact with
The
with
tomato.
Emma Stone. Yeah, the tomato. Who's the tomato?
Yep.
And that's Gracie May. No, not Gracie May. Gracie something. Gracie Faraday. And that's Cohen's new etiquette teacher. And you get a great line where she's obviously teaching him. I mean, he's fucking her, but she's also teaching him how to act in social situations or whatever. And he gets the food, and he says roast peacock. I knew the Romans had class. It's such a great non sequitur.
Yep.
And then she says, "It's the other fork, darling," because he picks up the salad fork or something.
And that's where the I haven't been sophisticated in weeks thing comes in, where it's he's like, "Who's the tomato?" And he's like, "Oh, that's Cohen's etiquette teacher. She's teaching him how to be sophisticated."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I haven't fucked in weeks."
But they make eye contact, and then she says, "I'm gonna go bend my." No, that's later on. But she goes to have a cigarette and get a drink, and he, Sebastian. Damn it! No, Jerry Wooters, puts the charms on her.
Yeah. And he tells her that he's a Bible salesman.
I can't tell if that's his actual cover or if that's clearly a line.
I think that's just a line because okay, how does that scene go? I remember there being some other weird dialogue where it's I
bet you have a Ducky War story behind that lighter.
Oh yeah, there's some more fun
period slang kind of stuff.
And then then she says, "Would you like to make an honest woman out of me?" And he says, "No, ma'am. I'd just like to take you to bed."
Thanks.
Sure. I'm Jerry.
Say, Jerry, I bet you got a Ducky War story behind that lighter.
Yeah, sure, I got stories. Hey, Matt, can I get a dirty Shirley? I got shot down once over the Pacific. I spent the night hanging onto the wing of the plane, and I had sharks bumping my legs in the dark. Are you weak in the knees yet?
Sure I am. Let's see, you're not quite big enough to be a Shylock. I give up. What's your racket, handsome?
Mostly I just like to play games.
I bet. What kind of games?
I like to play post office.
Post office? It's a kid's game.
Not the way I play it. But my racket is, I'm a Bible salesman.
You want to take me away from all this and make an honest woman out of me?
No, ma'am. I was just hoping to take you to bed.
And that wouldn't work unless you look like Ryan Gosling.
And
right?
it does work.
Yeah.
Because
so I
don't. Did she tell Mickey Cohen? It's like, hey, I gotta go. Like, what?
I know. I don't understand how they have because throughout the movie they have the small affair kind of thing.
She just, I guess.
Yeah, and it's weird because like Cohen doesn't care until later on in the film when he realizes like something's going on, or maybe he's tolerating it until he's finally like, hey, you know what happens when people take things that aren't mine? I kill them. Yep.
Yeah, because it's like it cuts straight from him saying I want to take you to bed to them
waking up in that bed.
Yeah.
So anyway, if we're gonna, if we want to talk about the fashion, we should cut this part shorter. So, Josh Brolin's hero antics gets noticed by the chief of police, or the high, like the commissioner, whatever, Chief Parker, played by Nick Nolte, and he goes like, "Hey, I know the cops won't do anything officially. I know there's a lot of corrupt people, but we'll fight them guerrilla style because you were in the war, and that's what we need, and you can make up your own unit and stuff.
You're gonna be some kind of gangster squad."
Yeah, and I just want to say again here, I mean, I guess it's period accurate because Chief Parker is kind of racist. He goes like my ancestors fought savage Indians and Mexicans to take this land, take California. And I'm not going to lose it to some Eastern crook. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, we're supposed to like the cops, but this is not good.
Nope.
Yeah. So anyway.
And so he tells them, it's like, we're going to do this thing. It's kind of illegal. So you guys are not going to get any credit for it. Like, but it's the only way that we can take down the gangsters. And and he tells them, it's like, don't just kill Mickey Cohen. Destroy his entire operation so no one can, like, take it over or something like that.
Yeah. So the first person he approaches is Jerry Wooters, and this is a great scene because they meet up at a burlesque club, strip club, whatever, and it's like an older woman stripping, and again,
it's probably during the day.
Yeah, it's during the day
in the morning.
It's the day shift, and he's
Jerry
drinking like
Wooters
a tiki
is
drink.
there. Yeah, and he's there. And it's still weird because this is after he fucked Emma Stone, but he feels the need to go to a strip club in the daytime.
I get, I don't know what his life is like.
Here's a great line. So Wooters refuses because he doesn't want to get caught up in this.
He says like the city's flooding, and you're grabbing a bucket when you should be grabbing a life raft. So he's like kind
of bathing suit,
going with the flow.
Yeah, and then so like Brolin goes like, you know what, fine, drink up, and like leaves, and Wooters has the best line where he goes, okay, only because it sounded like an order, and proceeds to drink, and I love that line so much.
I'm putting a squad together. I need an Indian guide who knows the territory.
Oh, who's the lucky winner this time? Well, good luck.
That's all you got?
Sarge, the whole town's underwater. And you're grabbing a bucket when you should grab a bathing suit. You know?
Come on, Jerry, what the hell happened to you?
Hey. Same thing that happened to you, pal. But the war's over, and we don't have to fight anymore. You're not gonna change anything around here, Sarge. You're just gonna wake up one morning walking on the wrong side of the grass. For what?
You can't answer that question. Take off the badge. Drink up.
Okay, but only because it sounded like an order.
Oh, and so I think he goes home and like consults with his wife or something like that. This is another great scene where she gets really mad when she finds out that he's gonna be taking down Mickey Cohen. So she goes in the kitchen and just smashes a dish, and then they have like
it's a pretty dramatic scene, and then
it's like very Oscar reel where she's like, Mickey Cohen can have this city, he can have this state, he can have the whole country, but he can't have you.
And there's like the documentary like shaky cam thing going on.
Yeah. And then
the next day she's fine.
Yeah, the next scene she's fine, and she's like, no, don't go for the best cops.
Because that's who Cohen would pay first.
Yeah, you gotta go for the shitty cops.
And so he was like, I gotta find bums like me. So he recruits
Anthony Mackie first, right?
Yeah,
Anthony Mackie, who it's a fantastic scene. He's like at like a club, like he's
it's like a swing
jazz
jive club, yeah.
And so there's this like drug dealer, I think, in a zoot suit. So that like, and he just like sticks his hand out, and then a knife flies right through it and pins him to the wall.
And then it's Coleman Harris that is Anthony Mackie's character, and he's in full uniform.
He's in full uniform, and Josh Brolin just comes up to it's like, I like your style, kid.
So it's like, I don't know if Josh Brolin or Sergeant O'Mara knew it was gonna happen, but he like, because he comes from off screen, like he wasn't watching. He's like, after Anthony Mackie, throws a knife into the guy's hand, he goes like, hey man, best don't wiggle it, just pull it straight out. That's what you get for dealing heroin. And then as he finishes that line, from stage left, Sergeant O'Mara walks in and goes, "Hey, can I buy you a drink, officer?"
I'm like, I want you to be on the Gangster Squad.
Yeah.
I just like to think he was just waiting there all night for something to happen.
Yeah. It doesn't even show him like going into that club. It
just shows the club and the hand.
Yeah.
Knifing. And his knife skills are not put to good use. I think he only uses a knife
twice.
One or two other times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, he goes to meet with Max Kennard, played by Robert Patrick from.
One of my favorite characters in the film. He's from Terminator 2.
Yeah. He's like the cowboy cop.
He's.
Okay, so. Okay, we'll talk about style later, but he's definitely dressed as like a cowboy in like the 40s.
Yeah. He like
and
wears a duster.
Not as in a cowboy. Yeah, not a cowboy from the 40s. I'm talking about if you had to put the two together. So he wears like a super wide brimmed Western fedora with like a Mac overcoat at all times.
Yep.
Which looks like a duster.
Or sometimes just a vest.
Yeah, he's the only character wearing a waistcoat, and instead of wearing like a suit jacket, so it looks like he's a cowboy wearing a waistcoat, a tie,
he has
and then
like
a low slung
the belt holster, whatever.
Yeah, and instead of like the detective, chest strap thing.
Yeah. So his wife suggests that guy because she sees him in like a detective magazine, and
he's shot more cops than anyone else in the last decade or something.
Wait, shot more cops?
Or he shot more criminals than all the cops in the whole decade or something like that.
Yeah, and so she's like, this guy's going to be good in a gunfight. You got to get him. And so he gets kind of a 2-for-1 deal because he also gets Michael Pena, who is his like
kind of like his ward. Yeah.
Yeah, his sidekick. I guess.
It's kind of a nice moment because when Navidad goes to get them a drink, he goes like, I work with him because I know no other cops will work with a Mexican. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty nice. But then it implies that they know each other. But then when he goes, Christmas Ramirez, you can't say that. And it's like, but that's his name. Like, it acts like as if you just learned that for the first time.
Yeah. I think up next is
Giovanni Ribisi's character,
yep.
Con Keeler.
Conwell
Keeler, yeah. Yeah, he's the nerd guy.
Yeah, what did they say? He was like a cop, but he's
an intelligence
tech stuff. So
I think he was an intelligence officer, and I think he was fired or he was demoted for wanting to like unlawful tapping or something like that. So something that fits with his character. He's dressed always. Oh well, when you see him at home, he's always wearing like a sports shirt. He has like cool like tortoiseshell frames.
Yeah.
And
I think so the scene we see him in, they're like watching, like
hold on. Before that, when they say his name, they cut to him, right, and he goes, "Can I help you with something, fella?" Some more cool 40s
very
slang thing.
very period dialogue. But I think he's wearing, it could just be the photos, but it looks like he's wearing like a casual suit, but not like
I don't know if it's a
walking suit.
Yeah, because
he's wearing a Gap short jacket, but the pants look like they match.
Yeah.
So I mean, those did exist.
Yeah, like a work suit kind of thing.
So I think he's wearing that, but yeah, most of the time he's like very, very 40s, 50s casual wear.
Yeah, and then so they're because they say his name in the daytime and it's nighttime after that. I'm guessing they talked.
They talked for a really long time because it's nighttime and they're watching like a rocket,
like a V2, a V2 rocket or V whatever testing in like Santa Clarita or something like that. And they're looking at it, everyone's outside, and then Con Keeler goes, this is what we fought for, isn't it? And then after like maybe like 2 beats, Josh Brolin goes, damn right.
He just he's just taken by the beauty of this spaceship.
Yeah.
Is that all the squad?
Yeah, that's all the gangster squads. So right after that, they decide to do, they decide to hit this casino in Burbank. And then simultaneously, this is where it gets kind of weird, because after that, Mickey Cohen meets with Jack Dragna, who I guess is the other, I guess he's the Italian part of the Los Angeles mob, played by the late John Polito.
R.I.P. King.
Yeah, and so this is one of my favorite scenes. So he's all like, Mickey, I heard that you killed one of Chicago's guys. He was just over here to meet with you. Like, what's that? And Mickey's like, I did it because I'm progress. You see, I heard about this thing called Manifest Destiny. And that's when you take something when you can. And like Dragna's like kind of getting like a little bit like, okay, this kid is,
this kid's scary.
Yeah, he's like, I've seen a lot of guys like you who want to shoot their way to the top of the class, but if you don't watch yourself, you're gonna find yourself with your best part stuffed in your mouth. And then Mickey Cohen like explodes.
Yeah, he's like he like spills a drink or something like that.
He's like, this is the wild fucking West, you motherfucker.
Yeah, and then he leaves, and that's it.
I've outgrown you.
Listen to me. I might be getting old. I might be getting slow. But I got friends in Chicago that are neither.
This isn't Chicago. This is the wild fucking West. And I've been reading about it. You heard of Manifest Destiny? That's when you take what you can when you can. The Greasers took it from the Redskins and we took it from them. And I'm gonna take it all from you, Jack. And not just because I can. But because this is my destiny. Los Angeles is my fucking destiny, you motherfucker.
That's the end of the dinner. But the Burbank hit goes bad because they find some cops in the casino. Two of the members of the Gangster Squad, Josh Brolin and Anthony Mackie, are arrested
and sent to the Burbank police station, which is corrupt because he was
the very southern like, oh brother, where art thou?
Yeah, I put this in the blog post. He's wearing like a Panama hat, and like a bow tie and suspenders. He's kind of like a larger guy, and he kind of talks like, oh,
he's like the plantation ain't got no greenbacks.
Yeah, and and he calls Anthony Mackie like, what's up, Buana? And I'm like, damn, that's some racist stuff right there.
Yeah, but they get arrested. Anthony Mackie has a great line where he just says like, I always knew I would die in Burbank.
And I don't understand what that means.
Then the rest of the Gangster Squad come to break him out. Okay, so because the Burbank PD thinks that they are other gangsters.
No. So let's backtrack. So the other gangster squad, the other parts of the gangster squad are going to try and break them out using a car. They hook it up to the jail grate thing, and there's a very funny scene where they hook it up to the car, and then the car bumper comes off, and it goes, well, that didn't work.
Yep.
As you can tell, this movie kind of goes back and forth in terms of its drama and comedy ratio.
Yeah, because at this point, this is when Jerry gets involved, right?
Yeah. So this is why I'm saying the timeline gets kind of weird, because in that same moment, Jerry's on the street drunk, and he's getting a shoe shine by this kid, and
Who
at that same moment,
introduced to once before.
Yeah, the shoe shine kid. Yeah, Pete, or Repeat as he calls him.
Yep.
So at that same moment, Dragna's like going home, and Mickey, after his big dinner explosion, puts a hit out on Dragna, and so Dragna narrowly escapes, but in the shootout, Pete dies.
Mm-hmm.
The kid gets shot, and so Jerry like switches like, oh shit, and then so
he goes to
before that, so he's able to kill one of the cops, one of the gangsters who gets left behind.
Just point blank in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah, he shoots him. Yeah, he shoots the cop with a pistol. Gangster. So he falls off the car, and the car leaves, and then he goes up to him, and he picks up the gangster's shotgun. And he goes, and the gangster's like, "Hold on, you can't kill me. You're a cop." And he goes, "Not tonight," and then shoots him in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah,
and there should be way more blood.
Yep,
but there isn't.
So then he goes to Slapsy Maxie's.
Yeah.
And he's going to kill Mickey
Cohen right there, who's dancing. And right before he does it, Jack Whalen comes in and like slaps him and like, dude, get a hold of yourself. What's going on?
Because they're at Slapsy Maxie's, so.
Yeah, that's where they always hang out. And it's weird because Waylon works for Dragna, but I guess he's a good because he's not in any danger. And Waylon tells him, like, you know, you got to watch yourself because they think it was Dragna, but because someone just hit Cohen's place in Burbank. And that's when he puts it together, like, oh shit, it's the Gangster Squad.
So he goes over there pretending to be a gangster. And I think his disguise is like he puts on a coat.
Well, he puts on his coat because, again, he wears all the same colors. It's like the same blue as his suit and his fedora.
So
he props his collar, puts his fedora on real low,
and he goes and he's like, "Hey, I'm here to pick up a couple of gangsters." Like,
he says it. He talks like a gangster. He goes like, "Why don't you get off your fucking ass and give me my prisoners? Because only bad guys cuss that much." And so while Jerry goes over to incognito as this gangster to rescue Anthony Mackie and Josh Brolin, Cohen's real guys come in, and
it's another fun reaction from the cop.
And he goes like, "Can I help you guys?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're here to pick some garbage."
And
2 bags.
Like, oh shit!
And then he runs in as they're unlocking the door. He goes, "Hold on, that guy's bullshit!"
And then they start shooting him.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of a cool thing because it's like in the dark.
Yeah, because
but it freezes every time that there's
Keeler shuts off the lights.
Yeah, because
that was the backup
almost every
plan.
op. Yeah, and almost every op, Keeler is on the roof cutting
Turning
some
off
wires.
Lights, yeah.
But yeah, so that's when Jerry officially joins the Gangster Squad because they get to escape. But before that, so while I don't know why I didn't talk about this before. Every time Cohen orders a hit on somebody, he tends to have a big speech about his life, and it conveniently ends right when something happens. So as the guys are drawing the guns on Dragna, and by extension Pete, the shoeshine boy, he talks about how, like, oh, in New York I felt like a rat in a maze, but in Los Angeles there's breathing room. And they shoot as soon as he says, "I love Los Angeles. I love it.
I love Los Angeles. I love it."
And then that's when the gunshot happens, and I love that line so much.
Yep.
So
Jerry's now part of the Gangster Squad.
They start training. They have like a small thing where like they're shooting, like mannequins dressed as gangsters.
Yep.
And then
shooting cans.
Yeah, shooting cans. Con Keeler says like, hey, after what happened with that kid and how sloppy we were, I don't think we should just, strong arm ourselves. I think we should be smart. So they decide to go and bug Cohen's house.
It's there is a bugging scene in The Sopranos that's really, really good, and that was like an entire episode. But in this, it was so boring in this movie because it was just like they just ran in. It lasted like 5 minutes, and they just put a bug behind a TV.
The fun part is that you get to see Wooters wear a peacoat, which is very nice. And then also they still have to use walkie-talkies, and because it's 1949, they have like the giant ones that are based with like a briefcase.
Yep.
So it's kind of a fun thing there.
And then he just makes out with Emma Stone a little bit before.
Yeah, because he runs into her while she's there. Because when they get home, Mickey's maid says, "Ice cream sundae?" or dessert, Mr. Cohen? And goes, "Ice cream sundae, my favorite."
Everyone loves ice cream in this movie.
Yeah. And
who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly, right? Creamistry.
Yeah.
So they bug him. They find out that he's doing something called El Dorado Trust, which I still am not sure I understand. Basically, it's like a wiring service, so any gambling money from here to Chicago or here up the West Coast has to go through Cohen, so by extension, he touches it and owns it, and so he has a bunch of other books, and so there's a big montage where they take down a couple of his other books, but they don't know where exactly this El Dorado Trust, the headquarters, is.
But it's funny because as there's another bad movie podcast that covered this, the Flophouse, and as they point out, they act like the El Dorado Trust is like a doomsday device because they're like, if he gets this up and running, he's going to be untouchable. Like, we can't do anything. But I think it's like running. Like, it's not like they're setting it up in the movie. It's like already running. But there's like an arbitrary time limit where at a certain point he'll get rich enough that they can't stop him, I guess.
Yeah, so it's weird. And so because Con Keeler saw him make out with Grace Faraday,
yeah.
Emma Stone. They're like, hey, you gotta push her to find out where El Dorado Trust is. Otherwise, like, what's the point, or something like that. And he's like, you guys don't know anything about her. She's a good person. They have a really dramatic scene where he's getting fed up with her going back to Cohen, and I'm like, I don't know what you expected, dude, but
yeah,
so they end up shutting down El Dorado Trust finally, because I think she finally tells them where they are or something. I forgot.
No,
exactly.
isn't that where they bug it? No, they set up something where it's like they can figure out how far away it is, and they use that with.
Oh yeah, they ping it or something like that.
Yeah, but they have like a
phone line.
list of his known like businesses, and they figure out which one it is. So they figure out it's Slapsy Maxie's.
So they go in, dress as band members to get into the backstage area.
Another great part where, because they go downstairs, and the security guard's like, hey, who are you guys? And he's like, we're in the fucking band. And then they just punch him in the face.
Yeah. And then Con Keeler's on the roof again, turning out the lights and turning off the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
They go in, they burn all the money there, they destroy everything.
They make sure not to take any money because
they're cops.
So that's what tips Cohen off to the fact that they're not gangsters, because they're not taking anything.
Yeah.
So he blows up. He's like, we're the cops, and I think he figures out
that his house is being bugged.
And so they tear up the house to find it.
As he's tearing this out, Grace goes and hides on her own now because she's scared for her life.
Yeah.
And so they find out it's being bugged, and so Mickey Cohen fakes talking that he's gonna have like one last heroin shipment. Also,
we forgot about the heroin.
Yeah, earlier they had a car chase, hot potato with a grenade.
It's a good car chase. It's really fun. They throw a bunch of grenades.
Burbank. Oh yeah, there's another joke how they have to go back to Burbank because it's at Burbank Airport or something.
Yeah, they destroy 2 cars. They shoot 2 gangsters in the leg and push them off a cliff.
Yeah. So anyway, they make it sound like this is his last hope to stay in business. It's obviously a trap. It's in Chinatown. Con Keeler is like, I don't want to do it because they're civilians or something like that.
Oh yeah, he says it's like, I don't know what the difference is between us and the gangsters anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Like, they're murderers and
like
you haven't. Cops.
Well, actually, they do have a kill count in this movie, but at this point, have they killed? Yes, they did. They blew up a car. They blew up a car. They've killed people, but
they don't like, other than that, like self-defense stuff or like pushing a grenade back into that thing. It's they don't really like, they kind of like knock people out or shoot them in the leg or something. So they have a because Con Keeler is listening.
They leave
Cohen
him
figures
back
out
at the place where they bug
listening
everything.
Post, and so Cohen kind of figures out like, it's a shortwave radio, so obviously the listening post has to be somewhere close here. So Con Keeler gets choked to death.
While Mickey Cohen is telling a story about like how a dirty cop or something like that
stole his like lockbox of cash or whatever. I ran from Boyle Heights all the way to wherever.
Every block I must have fought 5-6 kids for that box, but I wouldn't let it go. I wouldn't let anybody take it away from me. But you know who finally got that box? A cop. A dirty cop. An eavesdropping fucking cop. That bug's an empty piece of work. Limited range, though.
And then there's a cool thing to illustrate how tough the guy killing Keeler is his coat catches on fire and he leaves it on until Keeler's
dead, and he just takes it off. And he just kind of puts out the fire and puts it back on and leaves. And so obviously this is a trap. And then at Chinatown, they
blow up a truck.
They blow the truck that they think is full of heroin is actually filled with gasoline, and it blows up, killing some civilians.
Mooters figures out something and runs to go stop Jerry.
No, he's Jerry. He wants to go stop Josh Brolin from getting too close, and so none of the cops die. The guy who's carrying out the hit is the is Revik, their hitman, who you only see in like 2 scenes. This one and like an earlier scene. He gets to dual wield Tommy guns.
Oh, it's awesome! It's so cool.
Yeah. But he doesn't die. They do shoot a couple of gangsters and they get away, and then Cohen also puts a hit out on O'Mara, Josh Brolin's wife, who survives and gives birth to her kid due to
in
the
their
stress.
bathtub.
Yeah, but basically they're kind of they're at the low point in the story now.
Yeah,
because it's almost to the climax.
Yeah. Oh, a couple scenes before this, Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are at Clifton's, which is a real place in Los Angeles. It's still there, and we've been there. It's fun. A couple gangsters come up and we're like, "Hey, where are you going?" And then try to throw acid in Emma Stone's face, but instead he pours the acid right on one of the guy's dicks.
Yeah, he just kind of punches them. Like the bad guys are kind of stupid.
Yeah, and so all their immediate family are now in danger, and the press finds out about Gangster Squad. Everyone hates them.
Because of everything happening. And
Nick Nolte is like, tomorrow you're going to lose your badge. I don't know why they didn't fire him that day, but it's like, you got...
Maybe it's the weekend or something.
Yeah, it's the weekend. And it's like, you're going to lose your badge. You're probably going to be arrested. I'm going to be fired. It's been a good run. Mickey Cohen won this one. And
so Josh Brolin's like, hell no. So he meets up with all the guys one last time and says like, hey, this is our last chance.
Yeah, they go.
Cohen's holed up in the Plaza Hotel or whatever.
So they go and intimidate the judge that is friendly with Cohen. Not really intimidate. They just say it's like, hey, man.
to write an arrest warrant because...
that's the reason they needed the arrest warrant for it to be legal. And so they go over to the judge's place. They literally just say, hey, man... You're going to retire tomorrow, but tonight do one good thing. And he's
it's also because they tell him, we know that Mickey pays you in whores.
Yeah, but I guess. And so immediately he's just like, okay, and then gives them an arrest warrant.
And he also calls Cohen to let him know that it's happening.
Yeah.
And the reason why they had the arrest warrant is because Gracie, I don't know why we didn't talk about my favorite scene.
Oh, yeah.
Gracie is about to be, Jack Whalen helps Gracie get into her car and get away, so she's safe while Jerry and the guys go and do their last hit on Cohen. When Cohen runs into them, and he's like, hey Whalen, where's the girl? Just give her to me. And Jack's like, you know what? No, I'm standing up to you. You killed my boss. You killed whatever. I'm gonna stop you. So he knocks out Mickey Cohen's two cronies, who was the guy who got acid on his dick.
Yep. Is this before or after?
This is after, because he's wearing he has stitches on his face. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And so he goes like, all right, Mickey, you're next, you little creep. And then Mickey goes, my boxing days are over, Jack.
Where was she, Jack? Where's that gorgeous red snatch?
She's not here, Mickey. Did you bring your trouble boys just to see Grace? You expecting some trouble, Mickey? You looking for some?
My dog, Mickey Jr. He shits more trouble than you're gonna give me.
You see about that, huh? Make it good, boys. Huh? You. You're up next, you little creep. I've been saving something special for you, Mickey.
My boxing days are over, Jack.
Come on, Mickey.
Does that hurt?
Fuck you, Mickey.
And that's because Mickey was a boxer. Forgot to tell you guys that.
Yeah, there's a great scene where he's shirtless. Like, he and his friends are all shirtless, and they're just watching old boxing footage of himself.
Yeah.
And they're all just laughing really hard. It's great.
So after that line, Mickey turns around because he's holding a gun and shoots Jack dead. And so because Gracie saw it, she's like, oh, we can arrest him for murder. So that's why they have to get the warrant. And they go there. There's a really big fight sequence, a shootout sequence where it's the gangsters versus the Gangster Squad.
They're not very good, like, strategically, because so it's a fortress, but they're not really doing much defense. It's all offense.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, because like immediately Josh Brolin and Ryan Gosling kind of just slip past the front line and go inside.
And then people are just running at them instead of using like the staircase or any cover. They're just like kind of charging them head on.
Yeah, Jerry Wooters gets shot, but right before he, right after he gets shot, he gets to take down the Revit guy who is using an MP40 and wearing an overcoat and a black fedora and everything. But yeah, lots of people like Kenner dies. He gets shot while Cohen's making his getaway. There's a really big slow motion scene where Cohen and O'Mara shoot at each other around the Christmas tree because it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
But basically, by the end of it, Cohen crashes his car because Josh Brolin climbs onto it. They crash into a fountain, and they have a little boxing match because only real men do it.
Right. So Josh Brolin is about to be killed by one of Mickey's guys, and then the cowboy Robert Patrick, who is, like you said, he had been shot. He's like, "Hey, Navidad, get over here and help me aim one more time," and. They just shoot him.
Does.
They shoot him, and he's like, "You're the cowboy now, cowpoke."
Yep.
It's sweet.
So then they have a big boxing match, and Mickey Cohen gets knocked down by O'Mara. They arrest him. Everything's all done happily ever after.
Yeah,
but
he
O'Mara,
retires.
Ryan Gosling stays as a cop.
Yep. So like Navidad and Anthony Mackie are cops together. Ryan
Right.
Gosling and Emma Stone get married, and they also keep Mickey Cohen's dog. They put a hat on him, and they both laugh really hard.
Yeah, and then they say like the mob's never had a foothold in Los Angeles ever again.
Yeah, and then dramatically Josh Brolin throws his badge into the ocean.
Yeah. And that's the movie. Wow, that took up a lot of time.
It's such a fun movie to talk about.
Yeah, it's great. We really recommend it. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get right into the style of the film. We'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back. Now let's get into the style of the film.
What you all came for.
Yeah, so if you didn't want to listen to a recap of the movie, you can just skip ahead to right now.
I want this to be a movie podcast. I have so much fun on these episodes.
It's great. It's so good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Gangster Squad first of all. I know that the blog post talks about Mickey Cohen, but let's go because I think during the scene analysis, the talking about the plot, we talked a lot about the Gangster Squad itself. So,
but first let's get into who did the costumes,
go ahead.
because I think this is kind of interesting. This was let me find her name in the article.
Yeah, go ahead and find it because overall the theme is this movie actually isn't too bad with period costuming. Obviously, when you compare it to like Imitation Game or Downton Abbey or even what's the one?
It's Mary Zophres.
Yeah. Well, so when you compare it to those films, it misses the mark here. But this is not a serious film. Like,
yeah, it's not a serious man.
Yeah, I mean, I think Public Enemies is better than this, but it's when you compare it to something like Live by Night, and I mentioned that a lot in the blog post, is because Live by Night is awful.
Yeah, but so this is the costume designer for this was Mary Zophres, who, fun fact, did A Serious Man, but she has done a lot of work with the Coen brothers, like True Grit, Hail Caesar, Gangster Squad, Oh Brother, and in those movies, typically the period costuming is like spot on. It's like really good.
Yeah, so maybe you could probably blame it on the director or the producer who kind of set the tone.
How was the costuming in First Man? Because she did that one too.
That one's I saw First Man. That one's pretty spot on for the
Yeah, this one has some weird choices, but yeah, I'm not sure if that is we're not sure if that is due to
because obviously she can
specific direction that the filmmakers are going for. Like, oh, we don't want it to be super accurate.
Yeah, because obviously she's done some great work in the past.
Yeah.
So a big rule of thumb here is that the gangsters are all wearing double-breasted suits. And the good guys are wearing single-breasted suits because I guess single-breasted means that you're like a normal guy, and double-breasted means you're dangerous. Yeah. And obviously, it plays into the stereotype, where if you wear a double-breasted suit, you look like a gangster or a zoot suit.
Fancy gangster, man. Hey, really quick, do you think they got her because she does so much work with the Cohen brothers?
And maybe she like half-assed this one.
No, it's because they were like, wait, we're making a movie about Mickey Cohen.
Oh, that's funny.
Thanks.
God, that's not good. So yeah, that's the basic rule of thumb here. Also, a lot of the Gangster Squad characters or cops in general wear kind of
when we say Gangster Squad, we should make sure they are not gangsters.
Yeah,
they are fighting gangsters.
Yeah.
So the non-gangsters are wearing a lot of earth tones,
a lot of brown,
very plain clothing.
Yeah. So Josh Brolin wears like a brown suit the whole time, and I noticed this when I was writing it. His shirt has like a burgundy-ish hue, and I'm wondering if it was intentional to make it look like a World War II suit,
like pink and green.
Yeah, pink. Yeah, the pinks, the officer pinks. And
yeah,
so I mean, it like I don't. Yeah, it looks too intentional because like he wears a brown suit with like a pinkish shirt and like a striped tie, and he is the Sarge. Like they call him Sarge, so he's like the most army military character in the whole thing. Coleman Harris, Anthony Mackie's character, Navidad Ramirez, played by Michael Pena, and Con Keeler, I guess, kind of wear regular stuff. More specifically, Anthony Mackie and Michael Pena, they wear suits, they wear like foulard ties, not really anything too bold. Because again, this is like the 1949, this is like close to the 50s, so it gets really bold in a historical lens. You get like really padded shoulders, really short ties, super pleated pants. And in the film, they're not super exaggerated. I mean, the suits don't look vintage, but they also don't look modern at the same time. Like they're
I mean, there's like the first time we see Jerry Wooters, I thought the sport coat he's wearing looked very like 80s or 90s.
Yeah, because it's got kind of like a wool silk, kind of like a crunchier kind of like what you'd see in a flea market or a thrift store kind of thing.
Yeah, but none of unless maybe some of the minor characters are wearing vintage, but I don't think anything else they're wearing is like.
Yeah, maybe I
think everything they're wearing is like made for them.
Yeah, I mean they do say that they had a lot of vintage, but for because it's an action film, they had to create
I could see like there's a scene where they're at like a backyard barbecue, and I could see like the Hawaiian shirt of the apron. That's probably true vintage, but for the most part, I think their suits have been made for them.
Yeah. Con Keeler as the nerd wears kind of like check ties to kind of set him apart because, as like I said, Josh Brolin tends to wear striped ties, and Con Keeler wears the checked ones, which is what made me kind of get into check ties, and I know Spencer wears them too, or at least he used to. And then so Jerry Wooters, Ryan Gosling is probably the best dressed out of the Gangster Squad, the cops. He wears a lot of separates. He wears a sports shirt with like a tan sport coat and our Air Force blue trousers kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but when he, as like you said, when he goes out, he tends to wear 3-piece pinstripe suits. And when I was reading, I forgot where, it might have been an older article, but it was intentional because, the gangsters wear double-breasted suits, so you don't know exactly where Wooter's loyalty lies. Even though he doesn't do anything illegal or evil, it's just kind of like by association,
I guess.
And if you look at like production stills and or in the film when you look really closely, he's wearing a spear point shirt, and most of the people in the Gangster Squad or the cops wear point collars, and his spear point collar has kind of like a small weave or design on it, and then he likes wearing bold ties, like vertical designs. I think in that particular scene where he's in Slapsy Maxie's for the first time, he's wearing like a floral tie, but not like a floral tie that you would think of nowadays, kind of like just a tie with like a tiny flowers kind of decorated around it.
The second scene
the burlesque scene, he wears a red sports shirt but under a 3-piece gray suit, but then
he does not have the jacket.
He doesn't have the jacket, so it looks like he's going to prom. Like it's such a vibrant red suit with like a medium gray suit, so it doesn't really work well at all. And then, like I said many times in the plot analysis, his hats and his overcoats are the exact same shade as his suit.
Yep.
So it, on their own it doesn't look that bad, but then when people tend to color coordinate like that, it looks very costumey.
Yeah, that's why we when it comes to hats, like we recommend maybe having like 2 or 3, just a medium gray, like a brown, and if you want something casual, you can get like a Western hat, and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so so that's basically what they wear. They're in the barbecue backyard scene. He wears a sports shirt with Hollywood waist. I think most of them are wearing Hollywood waist trousers, but they're not pleated, and they're kind of worn kind of low, so they're kind of
we don't think that's the costume designer's fault. I think that's the actor's fault, because they're just not wearing their pants where they should be.
But also, I mean, a lot of the fabrics in the film, they're not as heavy or drapey as like you would expect from like a gabardine slack or a suit, which is what they'd probably be wearing. So they look really fine. So you get to see a lot of the creases. They don't really hold shape well. That could be a whole discussion on like super wools compared to.
So I'm looking at pictures of the backyard barbecue scene.
Yeah.
And I just noticed that Robert Patrick is not like, he's just dressed as he always does, and he still has his holster on.
Yeah. But everyone else is wearing like sports shirts and slacks, which is actually not that bad. It makes perfect sense. Con Keeler's wearing a dope Hawaiian shirt.
I love that
like
thing.
A motif kind of thing. Yeah.
Josh Brolin has like a really cool apron that says like "Man of the House" or something like that.
Yeah, he's also wearing.
I think it says "on the house." Like,
on
like
the house.
Serving drinks like on the house.
Okay, yeah, it's really cool. Regardless,
yeah,
I love it.
But he's also the only one wearing like other than Robert Patrick's character, he's wearing his like dress shirt without a tie to kind of show that he's not super casual like the rest of them.
Yeah, he's got a fun apron.
Yeah,
to show he's quirky.
And so like Chief Parker's in a couple of scenes, he's also wearing the same thing, 3-piece suit, but it's a single-breasted one,
like pinstripe.
Yeah, but single-breasted because he's a good guy. And so if we look at the gangsters now, they're like Mickey Cohen actually isn't bad for what you'd expect. Like he wears double-breasted suits most of the time. They're opened. But they're not bad. They're not like super baggy. Again, it's not like Ben Affleck and Live by Night. That might be the next thing we talk about in the next film series, because it's such an awful movie with awful costuming. But yeah, so he wears a lot of gray suits, a lot of plain white shirts, and then he wears like geometric ties. Like they're not super bold. They're not like swing ties. They're just kind of like polka dots or brocades or whatever. And then he wears his fedora, but his brim is upturned, as opposed to
He's kind of wearing it almost like a Homburg a little bit.
Yeah, and it's supposed to play like with the whole gangster aesthetic thing. It's kind of worn like on the back of his head, kind of.
And we didn't mention this in the review much, but oh my God, is he given 110% to being a gangster? He's just having so much fun with it.
I mean, I would be too.
Yeah, he's chewing the scenery hard in such a good way. But yeah, he's 100% committed to the gangster aesthetic and 100% committed to just acting like a gangster.
It's so good. Like, I mean, that's like the main reason I love this film.
Yeah, because like I said, it's like always 110%. He's like, I am a gangster, goddammit.
Yeah.
He's doing like a really heavy New York accent.
I love Los Angeles.
It's really fun.
I love it.
And we also forgot to mention my other favorite line, where at the very end, just apropos of nothing, he just says, I like only having one fork.
As a callback to that thing, to the roast peacock scene. But he does wear a very long spear point collar. It's obviously a clear nod to Goodfellas.
Yep.
But it, as like I said in the spear point collar article and podcast, is like after watching this movie, I was like, oh, I want one now. And I know that the ones I wear today are a different shape, but it's not that bad. If you wore a collar bar, it would be different, but it's definitely pretty long. But it doesn't look too costume. Like it is a costume. It's kind of exaggerated, but it's not as bad as like Goodfellas.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of his shirts have some maybe interesting weaves. They look like they're like silk, something like that.
Yeah, they look like they're silk. They look like they have got a little like a shadow stripe, which is kind of like a big like like 90s kind of shirt thing going on.
Yeah.
And he wears two-tone shoes. I think almost a lot of the gangsters do that, because when I was going through the screen caps, when they have like that big wide shot of all the gangsters, the bad guys, blocking the door to the hotel, like 3 of them are wearing black and white spectator shoes. Yeah. So I'm obviously the costumers are trying to get that that gangster feel from the bad guys. Yeah, so a lot of the gangsters kind of follow Cohen's lead. They all wear double-breasted suits.
Wait, let's talk about Cohen's casual wear, because we see that a couple times. So he's wearing like a lot of sport shirts, but he's also doing something that existed in that time, but you don't really see a whole lot, which is they're like matching sets. So like it's kind of like the casual suit that like Keeler was wearing earlier, where he'll have like a sport shirt that's the exact same color as of his pants and stuff like that. And I guess it's showing these, he can get everything made, or it's like he likes the fancy stuff, because a lot of them are monogrammed with his initials as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a cool touch that they did. They could have given him like a sport shirt or more traditional kind of thing, but it's a cool touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of his cohorts tend to wear the exact or close to what he's wearing. They all wear like black fedoras, double-breasted suits. The one I love to look at is Revik, the killer.
Oh my god!
Because he wears a black and white pinstripe suit with a black shirt, a white tie, and a black wide brim fedora with a white ribbon. Yeah. He looks straight up like a fucking Party City costume. And
it's ridiculous.
It's really bad.
He's got one eye but 2 guns.
2 chains.
Yep.
But yeah, like I think that's a clear indication, because I mean, you could technically argue that people did similar stuff. I mean, like people like to point to like Guys and Dolls, the film, as evidence of like why contrasting shirt, tie, and suits or whatever. But you have to remember that Guys and Dolls is a musical and not like a regular movie of the time.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, you get to see like Johnny Stompanato. I guess he was
a real guy.
He's a real guy. The guy that got to play him looks almost exactly like him. But he's not named as such other than the credits. But I think he wears a sports shirt with a runaway collar over a DB suit. So that's kind of interesting.
Yep.
And then if we go back to the beginning, because I think the beginning is the clearest part where you get to see some gangster style. The guy with the mustache in the beginning wears a brown pinstripe suit with a spear point collar and kind of like a purple-ish brown swing tie. Yeah, and it's actually pretty interesting.
This is like I said, I think those might be vintage suits that they're wearing.
And a vintage tie.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, those gangsters kind of get like the most accurate clothing.
Yeah, and he's also wearing a really cool pair of suspenders where like they kind of instead of like the typical Y fork, like each of the latches
X back or something like that.
Yeah, like they have. You'll have to see it in the pictures, but it's really cool. You don't really see a lot of that today.
And they're hard to even get like reproductions of, or like I can't think of any brands.
Even the ones that I have that have like the front is the same, the back is not the same. Yeah. You'll have to see the blog post to get more of that, detail. But yeah, I think in general, I mean, there's not a lot of vintage clothing. I know Pete, the kid, I think wears like a kid's Mackinac.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. You get to see. Oh, Con Keeler's kid has wears like some dope like Pendleton 40s sports shirt, like a cool sweater.
He's got like flannel lined jeans.
Yeah, you see it if you're looking for it, like
which we're always looking for.
Yeah. Again, Con Keeler gets to wear like a work suit or like a walking suit, which is basically like a gabardine short jacket with matching gabardine trousers. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. They get the collar looks straight up, period accurate, with like the zipper with a little loop on it is pretty good. But like again, a lot of the costumes worn by main characters, or at least people, at the forefront of the screen, tend to be wearing modern costumes. They're not really wearing anything period or true vintage. You can tell by the lapels. Now, the double-breasted ones are a little bit harder to tell.
But a lot of the single-breasted ones, they have like a really weird kind of like fish mouth lapel that's just, I mean, I haven't seen much stuff like that before. It kind of looks like the one on your, I don't know, like if I'm remembering correctly, your like navy belt back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, they're still not exactly a fish mouth lapel. Like it's like it's like on the spectrum of fish mouth to notch.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, even though like the lapels and stuff are bad. I mean, I found myself inspired a lot by like Jerry Wooter's outfits a lot. Like there's a couple of pictures I have of me back in like 2014, 2013, where I'm wearing a sports shirt with like a houndstooth tweed jacket and like gray pants, because I saw him wear a textured jacket with a sports shirt with gray pants.
Yeah.
And it's not bad, especially when you look at the barbecue scene. Like a lot of Spencer and my casual style are kind of like sports shirt and trousers kind of thing. Ryan Gosling wears like a silver belly colored fedora, and while the shape isn't super accurate, I mean it looks pretty good. Like in the context of the scene, like he's wearing it with like some shades that don't look particularly period accurate either. But it's still, I mean, it's like, it's pretty decent. And I know I've written about sports shirts and loop collar shirts a lot, and it's definitely a cool staple for summer style and everything.
But yeah, I think our problem, and we talked about this in the article with a lot of the hats, but specifically Ryan Gosling's hats, it looks like the crown slopes back too far.
Yeah, it's tapered a little bit too much.
Yeah, and so it doesn't look right. It looks like a cheap hat that you would like an Indiana Jones hat you would get at Disneyland, something like that.
Yeah, a lot of the regular gangsters have that issue too, but I think the best ones are worn by Josh Brolin's character, Sergeant O'Mara, and I think Christmas Ramirez and Navidad gets to wear a fedora. But I mean, near the end of the movie, they're not really wearing fedoras as much anymore.
And MJ, I know you're thinking about joining the Hat Squad. So what did you think of the hats in this movie?
I mean, it only pushed me to like look at stuff more.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's hat kind of got me.
it pulled you right back in.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm still on the fence, but we'll see.
Yeah, what else are your thoughts on the movie's style as a whole?
The movie, the style, whatever.
Well, I'm still a scrub when it comes to the analysis part. It's more just like, hey, that looks cool. I wonder if it would look cool on me.
Yeah, what things did you think looked cool?
Basically anything Ryan Gosling wore.
So following the footsteps of like Drive and Between the Pines.
Yeah.
I'm a driver, not a daddy.
And I mean, since I don't have like any, well, save for Ethan's cotton suit, like I don't have any like suits really. Mm-hmm. But like his pinstripe suit or like his like brown suit was like really cool. So
yeah,
just I mean, opening my mind.
He's definitely
your mind. Yu-Gi-Oh.
He definitely he wears some cool stuff, and I'm not sure if he mentioned his Mackinac that he wears. He like wears like a navy and black Mackinac jacket.
Yeah,
that was
talk
cool.
about that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is that the one that Ethan was like?
Yeah,
that was the one.
That was the one.
Yeah, that was the one that made me go like, man, I could totally use a casual plaid jacket. And I do have one. It's brown and yellow. It's not. The brown and yellow make it a little bit hard to wear, because it's not as contrasting as like the traditional red buffalo check, or the blue. But it's not a bad look. But yeah, I mean it's cool to watch. Again, we tend to analyzing bad movies is a lot more fun than analyzing good ones. Like I could talk. I mean, maybe sometime we could talk about Imitation Game, because that one's really good. You can see a lot of true vintage spear point collars and short sweaters with high waisted pants kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah. Any other thoughts, MJ, on the film?
I need to get some more ties.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
that film actually got me to buy swing ties. Like, I mean, even though I didn't wear them, I'm like, I was slowly starting to put together what it meant to be vintage. Like, okay, longer collars, double-breasted suits with wide lapels, funky ties,
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at a lot of my earlier stuff, which is not on the blog, if you were lucky enough to follow me on Tumblr, 5 years ago, you would have been able to see some of my swing ties with tweed jackets and fedoras and trying my best to be the Gangster Squad or Mickey Cohen.
Yep. And so let's say that you guys they're remaking Gangster Squad, and now you are the costume designer. What would you do different, and what would you keep the same?
Oh man, well, I mean, I feel like I'd put better material on a lot of the stuff, and
yeah, just like you're talking about the fabric.
Yeah, because again, like when you look at the production pictures, and you'll see it in the show notes on the blog, like it just doesn't look. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't drape right. It doesn't hold creases. It looks the pants look very like delicate and cheap. It's just like there's like that certain something pizzazz, whatever you want to call it. That
the French, what the French call. What's the joke I'm thinking of, where someone's trying to say je ne sais quoi, but they just say it in English?
No, he goes. It's Gaston talking to Le Pou, and he goes like, "Oh, Belle has that certain je ne sais quoi. I don't know what that means."
Yep.
So
there you go.
Yeah, that's what that's from. But yeah, I mean, it's not. The gangsters don't look too bad. Like, it's not. It's kind of mediocre. It's not. It's kind of inoffensive, and also it kind of just depends on how they want to present the film. Because, like Spencer said, like it can't decide what tone it wants to be. Like it could either be like straight up, like Public Enemies, super dramatic, or like Lawless or something.
Yeah.
Or
as I kept saying while we were watching it. If this movie was just The Nice Guys, which is one of my favorite movies, and maybe we could talk about that sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
But if it was just The Nice Guys but set in 1949, it would be my favorite movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. Like the jokes are good, or it's just unintentionally good,
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there are a couple funny gags in this movie. There's the part where they're breaking out of prison and the bumper rips off. There's another fun scene where Josh Brolin goes to Mickey Cohen's house to kill him, but Mickey's not there. But Ryan Gosling stops him and he's like, "If you're gonna hit anyone, hit me," and then he just immediately punches him in the face and keeps walking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a missed opportunity. Obviously, the movie did not do well.
There's no Gangster Squad.
Yeah, and I remember when they were reshooting it because of they have a scene where Josh Brolin gets ambushed in a movie theater, and that's I think that part was replaced by the Chinatown scene because of the Aurora shootings. But I remember them reading about these reshoots, and they were like, we have to make like the best film we can, as filmmakers, and I mean it's not really an artistic film, so it's whatever. Any last thoughts, MJ? I know that you're you're the new guy.
I don't think you mentioned it earlier about the like the color matching being sort of costumey.
Yeah.
I think it was specifically with Ryan Gosling's character. I guess that would probably be, because now that you mentioned it, you start to kind of like see stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe if there were a remake, you wouldn't. That'd probably be one of the things to like, the little details.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like this film is costumed like what a lot of people think the 40s is, or the 50s, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It's like a step up from like wearing like a bow tie with clip-on suspenders and jeans, to have like a vintage look. It's definitely a step above that, but it's still kind of like missing the mark. It's like, oh yeah, obviously a gentleman would wear our matching hat and suit and coat because that's what gentlemen do. They want to have a cohesive theme, but real guys don't dress like that.
Because they don't have 30 hats to go with their 30 suits.
Yeah, and I see it a lot of times from like people who are starting out, people who are getting into vintage. They tend to like go for all that, like, or even not in vintage. Like you get guys like Menswear House who will wear like a matching tie and pocket square or something. Or they feel the need to have this so-called harmony when you don't need it. You don't really need to have it, and it's kind of unfortunate that they keep that in this film. When the costumer has done other films where there's a great diverse amount of style and combinations, like Hail Caesar, you guys, or even Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Oh yeah, because again, like all the Coen Brothers movies, they tend to have really fantastic costuming.
Yeah, and those feel even if those ones are more lighthearted than a period drama, they still feel very set in the in the time period.
Yeah.
And I think that's one big thing about what makes a period film good, like whether or not you can have a set, like a truly authentic setting, and some stuff like this kind of take you out of it.
Yeah.
Or all of the weird slang that they say, and like get an ice cream cone.
Yep.
And he never came back.
Tomato.
Yeah.
He never came back. Again, he just loved ice cream, and then he opened up an ice cream shop.
Can I help you with something, fella? Stuff like.
That's what he says when someone comes into his ice cream shop.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this one.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Again, if you guys like the episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps. And now we're on all three major platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Pod. So you should listen to all three of them.
3 times.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah.
There you go.
I actually listened to it 4 times because I listened to it when I edited it.
There you go. Yeah, see. One final plug. I do want to plug Hand Cut Radio by my colleague Alex Vetkovich. He's an ex-writer for The Rake and the Jackal. He's a freelance guy now. He started his own podcast talking to a lot of the London guys, and it's really, really good.
Yep.
If this podcast is about talking to LA people and Blammo is about talking to people in New York, then that one's for that one's for London.
That one's for across the pond.
Yeah, really good. Check that out.
We could all plug something so we don't all sound negative. It's not all negativity this episode.
Yeah.
You should watch I Think You Should Leave on Netflix.
You did plug that the last time.
I did?
Yep.
Oh man, I'm just gonna plug it again because of how good it is, man. Watch it; it's so good. I can't get over how funny it is. It's my favorite show on Netflix right now. So that's what's keeping me up at night.
Nice.
MJ.
I don't know. You know what? I've been watching a YouTube show, I guess it would be considered, called Send Foods with a Z.
Okay.
It's about so the hosts Timothy De La Ghetto and David So go around to like different like food festivals and try out like different foods, and so it's kind of been inspiring me to try different foods in the LA area, as Ethan already knows.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
So it's on the YouTube channel Thrillist, and yeah, good stuff.
There you go.
Good food.
All right.
Okay.
So don't forget that there are also show notes for this episode, or a big bold blog post that goes into the more of the details of what we talked about. You can find that at streetexprezza.wordpress.com. There's also going to be a link in the description of this podcast episode. You can follow me on Instagram at Ethan M. Wong.
I'm at Spencer DSO.
And MJ
is at MJ for my regular pictures, and Agito_photo for my photography pictures.
Yep. Don't forget to follow the pod at Style and Direction, all spelled out, on Instagram. And yeah, we'll post stuff from we tend to update stuff about the podcast on there. in case you didn't follow the rest of us when we announce it on our own. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you guys like movie episodes, let us know. We have a couple more that we're thinking about doing.
Definitely.
We always have fun doing them.
And feel free to message us directly on Instagram if you guys have any other ideas. If you guys want us to answer anything on the pod, we can do a little segment about that. We can do that. But yeah,
send questions.
Send them in, baby. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
My wife.